Good morning, everyone. Chevalier D. Thomas Elizabeth College for Women welcomes you for a very fun and enlightening panel discussion on mental health for all. Before we begin this session, I would take this opportunity to introduce you to all our panel members. Our first panelist for the day is Mr. Aditya Sisodia. He is a career coach, he is a keynote speaker, he is also an author. He was also the Pro Slam champion in 2019. He was awarded the Brave Spirit Icon in 2017. He appeared in notable media such as INC Photo and Femina. The energy visible on my face is also because of the pep talk he gave me yesterday. It's such a honor, it's such a pleasure to have you here as a panelist. Welcome you, sir. Our next panelist is Dr. Upasna Chadha. She is one of the top 5 certified and recommended psychologists of Delhi. She primarily deals with adolescent and couple issues and empower them to lead the life they want to. It's such a honor and such a privilege to have you here with us, ma'am. We welcome you.
Thank you.
Our next panelist is Priyashi Srivatsava. She is a certified psychologist, career coach, and psychotherapist. She received Achievers Award from MIT and she continues to enrich her skill. It's such a honor to have you here with us as a panelist. We welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so
Our fourth,
much.
thank you, ma'am. Our fourth panelist for the day is Mrs. Shabnam Malik. She has completed her bachelor's and master's in clinical psychology. She also has a diploma in rehabilitation psychology. She has worked with children, adult, and geriatric population. It's such a honor and such a privilege to have you here with us, ma'am. We welcome you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I, Nishi Priya from second year psychology, will be your panel moderator. So let's now proceed to our first round of panel discussion. We young children, we receive a lot of inputs from a lot of different people about what actually mental health is and how we should practice positive mindfulness, which creates a lot of still and confusion among us. So I want to ask all of you, all the panelists, that what according to you is actually positive mental health and how should we practice mindfulness?
Well, I think to look at mental health, it is very, very important to understand what actually mind is, right? Because mental health is all related to mind, right? So when it comes to the understanding of mind, I look at it as when you go to a workplace and you start working on a computer, you have hardware and then you have a software in the computer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So the hardware could be the display screen, the speaker, the mouse, the keyboards. And the software is the operating system where everything is actually taking place. Everything is functioning in that operating system. So when it comes to the understanding of brain and mind, the brain is the hardware of the system and mind is the software. So, as important as it is for a computer to upgrade the version of operating system, to have compatibility amongst different application softwares, similarly, it is as important for us human beings to have a compatible, well functioning mind. So, now since we understand what mind actually is, we can come up with amazing ways of how we can handle our mental health in a good aspect. Right, so as we go to recycle bin and we just clean all kinds of junk files in the computer. Similarly, it's very, very important for us as well to detox our mind, to release all sorts of conflicted areas, to detox and get released with all sorts of stress that the mind has been storing since long.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
ma'am. Ma'am, Upasna, ma'am, what's your view on how to combat positive mindfulness?
How to combat positive mindfulness?
Yes, ma'am.
See, mindfulness, and when we talk about it, I think as an aspect, it's something wherein we need to be very, very conscious at the present moment to be able to observe what's happening around us, right, in that present moment. And when we are talking about mental health, I believe, the positive mindfulness, what I will also say, is something wherein we want to first, I think, acknowledge what's going on inside of our mind. Like very nicely, Priyashi also mentioned about it, that the internal software that's going on inside of us, the internal thoughts and the images and the patterns that are going around in us, I think that observation and the ability to observe it time and again, can help us move to acknowledging it and then turning it, if it is not very negative, in a very healthy manner. So I would not say that, positive, let's just say certain things which are positive, because at one point in time it doesn't really help us, because we do that also very mindlessly. So if we are able to just get catch hold of what we are saying to ourselves and recognize, detach ourselves from it a little, and you know, turn it around whichever ways is more healthy for you as an individual. Doing that, I believe, is something that requires consistency and practice. And while we can do that, I think we can turn it around into a positive thing. So I think mindfulness and that practice is something that I would say is extremely essential that we all require.
Thank you so much for your valuable inputs, ma'am. Aditya,
Hey, good morning, everyone.
good
A
morning,
warm
Aditya.
welcome and good morning. And first of all, congratulations to everyone on the Mental Health Day. So I would say, just like we have got a physical health, we have a mental health. It is all about our emotional hygiene. How are we taking care of ourselves? How are we taking care of the people around us by our thoughts? And it's very important that we are mindful of our thoughts. Just like Dr. Upasana mentioned, being mindful. What is being mindful? It's about being present to our thoughts. It's about acknowledging our feelings. It's about accepting them. And I would say for me, mental health is not just a one day 10th October declared by World Health Organization. For me, mental health is every day. I celebrate mental health and I advocate mental health wellness every day, not only for myself, but for other people. Just like we consume whatever we are viewing, whatever we are listening, whatever we are eating, for me, mental health is also something that should be our daily routine. So that's from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Next, Ms. Shabnam, what's your input on mental health and mindfulness?
Hi everyone, thank you for having me here. I
Thank you.
always enjoy talking on mental health, so I congratulate Priyashi for taking this initiative, and you are doing a great job conducting
Thank
this
you.
workshop. So, according to me, mental health, if I talk about, I always talk about the basic knowledge about mental health. So, for me, mental health is something to do with self awareness and resilience. So by self awareness, I mean how much I am self aware about my emotions, my thoughts, my feelings, the way I thought, the way I think, the way I feel is mental health. And am I able to cope with the day to day stresses, right? So mindfulness is one of the part of self awareness. When we talk about mindfulness, it all comes about how self aware we are, right? As all of the panelists have already said, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, am I able to acknowledge what I am feeling? What are my emotions? Am I able to overcome the overwhelming feelings? Am I able to notice that I need a break now? Am I able to notice this is helpful thought or this is unhelpful thought? Right? So mental health, according to World Health Organization, has said that it is a state of being. It is a state of being in which an individual realizes his or her own potential and is able to be cope up with day-to-day life stresses and enjoy life and contribute to society and to oneself. So I think mental health is also as important, as we all say it's important as physical health. It is also similar as physical health, right? Last day I was having a talk with my husband and he noticed this white thing on my nail and he said, you may be lacking calcium in your body. So I want mental health to be so much normalized that if someone is feeling stressed and is unable to cope with day to day life, he or she might be able to identify that these are the stresses or these are the pointers that I may take in consideration, right? So this is what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. It was such a lovely input. So I just wanted to ask you all a question. We as a student, we actually a lot of people come and tell to us that you are supposed to meditate, you are supposed to be in the present moment. But we as a student, somewhere or the other, we listen to all of it, but it never goes and it reaches our head. So what I wanted to know that what you people actually do to have this positive state of mind. Do you also meditate or do you have some breathing exercise? What do you people do when you are anxious and when you are nervous?
I think I would like to add here. Um, we all experience burnout. And considering that the pandemic that we are in, we are all still locked up, most of us, at least I am locked up in my house with two kids, my husband. We have a joint family, right? And all of us have our own work to do. And, limited space and privacy. So we all know that the times that we are in currently is extremely stressful for all of us. The happiest ones of us also who are living a very careful life have come down to an aspect wherein there's a lot of uncertainty, wherein everything has gone here and there. And it's been now 6 months and we still don't see anything easing out uh, as, as quickly and as soon as we would like it to be. So certainly there is a burnout, and when Nishipriya talked about it, we know that we constantly keep talking about meditation, how meditation is important, how various tips are given at every point in time
Right.
to help you enhance your mental health or take care of yourself. I think all of us, we all can identify that what is that one thing that just helps us release our stress? What is that one thing that helps us just be in that moment? When we talk about it, meditation or mindfulness, just be in the moment and let go of anything and everything that's coming up for you. So it is multiple things for multiple people based on what kind of a person you are. So you know how, and we all have a very different modalities also. I am sure as all of us as mental health professionals, we use all different things which helps other people release their stress, and all of it works. So it's not one thing, but if you personally ask, do we also meditate on what you should do as kids? I think few things. For some people, how this movement, dance movement therapy, how at times you can just play some song and just have a good dance party with your own self only. There have been times that only helps so much that you're dancing like crazy, right? There are times that you do just want to, you're so overwhelmed on a particular day that you don't want to be around anybody else. Just can get out, be in your balcony, take your cup of tea, just sit with yourself, with your thoughts, and maybe just write. If I'd always say writing with a paper and a pen is the best thing that you could do, a lot of people still say, oh, we can't write, we don't know, somebody will read. Write it on your phone. If you don't want to write, just record a voice note. Yeah. I think that helps you. When I was just a little while earlier talking about detaching, that just helps you create more distance between what are you going through and versus just getting all jumbled and crumbled up in that and kind of going down and down and down. I think what really helps us is every day we can just make sure that we are setting aside 10-15 minutes only to take a mini vacation. And that mini vacation can be absolutely different every day. It could be one day dancing, it could be one day just shutting yourself in a room and sitting quietly. It could be watching a movie, it could be reading a book, it could be drawing or doodling something, copying something somewhere, it could be absolutely anything. So, everybody says take out those 15-20 minutes for meditation. If you are not able to do it, it's completely fine. If you do it, it has its own tremendous benefits. But at least making it, inculcating it as kids, as young adolescents and young people, that we at least commit 15 minutes in a day, and that's not a lot. 15 minutes in a day to do something that day that's more like a mini vacation to us. I think that is something that I do, and that's something that I feel that we all of us can do as a commitment towards our own mental health.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Aditya, what's your stance on it? So, kindly unmute yourself.
Thank you, Dr. Upasana. Thank you, Nishi. So I say for me, it's more of my self-talk, the way I talk to myself. I would ask everyone. I'm seeing a lot of people have joined us on the YouTube chat. I want to ask everyone, how do you talk to yourself when you are all alone? What is that tone in which you speak to yourself? Is it harsh? Is it soft? Is it soothing? Or is it jarring? The way you talk to yourself defines the way you would treat yourself. What are the words you describe yourself? I'm awesome or I'm pathetic. I'm a winner or I'm a loser. Because it's the self talk, it's our inner voice, it's the way we build ourselves or the way we break down ourselves. Self talk, I feel, is the most important thing. Do we use other people label to define us, or do we have our own label? Do we use external validation, like how many people have liked our videos, how many people have viewed our status, or is it something I'm happy the way I am, I accept myself? Because running for external validation is not something. Now, coming back to the topic where you asked, how do we take ourselves? Like, personally, for me, one of the things which my mentor, Tony Robbins, has taught me is change your physiology and change your psychology. Make some movement. What is meant by movement? You can do exercise. You can even be very mindful about your emotional diet. What exactly are you consuming? If you like, personally, I've stopped watching news on all the channels. I only go through some important notification of BBC and others to stay in touch. I've stopped consuming mindless entertainment. Every time I'm doing something, I just ask myself one question: is this building me up or is this breaking me down? And I'm very mindful. I always ask myself, the person I want to be in the next few days, few months, few years, what would that person say to the current me? Am I on that path? And then accordingly, I'm very clear and I'm very vocal about my feeling. Be it my family or be it any of my friends. If they are saying anything negative, I respectfully ask them to pour their negativity somewhere outside, because I won't allow anything negative, any dirt mark on my emotional blueprint out here. So that's from my side.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Moving on, Mom, Shabnam, Mom, what's your input on it? Mom, kindly unmute yourself.
I think most of the panelists have said what I was about to tell, but adding on to that, it all comes with self-awareness and acceptance. Once we accept our feelings and we are self-aware, I cannot stress enough on self-awareness and acceptance. Acceptance and self-awareness is, for me, is the key for a healthy positive mind, right? As Dr. Upasana Chadda has said, spending me time. In 24 hours, if we spend only 15 minutes with ourselves, sit with ourselves, think about what have we said, what have क्या हो चुका है क्या नहीं हो चुका है, think about it, do what you like, right? So these all start when we know that this is good for me and this is bad for me, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this goes for me or this doesn't goes for me, right? And there are there are many ways in which we can practice like positive attitude, like spending good time in nature, talking to a friend, speaking about our feelings, emotions, as Dr. Upasana has said, writing down them, journaling, positive journaling, right? Or gratitude practicing, when we wake up in morning, saying three things to ourselves that we are happy about ourselves, right? So these are the points according to me that lead to a happy or a healthy mental health life.
Thank you so much, Shabnam, Mom. Priyashi, Mom, would you like to add something on it?
Well, the other panelists have wonderfully expressed their views, and it encompasses, most vital points. But adding to it, when it comes to you and meditation, as you said that you have heard a lot that we should do meditation, it really helps. What actually meditation means, right? That's really important to understand. Meditation simply means being in a state of pure awareness. And when we say what actually this pure awareness is, it simply means that even if you're sitting in this, in the posture of meditation while your eyes closed and the thoughts, the flow of thoughts are just coming, right? There is just so much flux of thoughts. So you have to just allow yourself to be okay with that. Okay, never ever when being a beginner, never ever try to stop the flow of thought which is coming in your mind, because when we sit in the meditation state, what happens is we are able to recognize everything that is happening inside our mind. So instead of just getting away with those thoughts, try to make yourself seated underneath inside the ocean and just watch those thoughts and emotions passing by like waves. So, even while you are having thoughts, being in the state of meditation, you can still be meditating.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. So let's move on to our second round of question and answer session. It's my personal favorite. So we'll start with Priyashi, ma'am, yourself. So you work with a lot of young children and you have a prayer experience. So you tell me, how do we reach out to young children, and how do we erase the stigma of mental health that has inculcated in their mind?
Well, what you are doing right now is one of the ways to reach out.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, so you are already, you have already stepped into that path of creating awareness for young children.
Yes.
Yeah. So education and creating awareness, these are two vital pillars of changing or of bringing this paradigm shift in people's perception related to mental health. Right. One very basic fundamental issue that I find in education system is we have all been taught in our school how to read, how to write, how to use arithmetic, right, and so on. But we are never taught about the fourth R. That's the relationship.
Correct.
Yeah, and relationships are really, really important in life. Yes. Even, before we are born on this earth, we have already been binded, or say connected in some sort of relationship with other human beings, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And they continue to flourish with us by the end of our lives. So relationships are a major part of this. And what happens in school? We are taught who we are. We are told by our parents that I am, whenever someone asks you, who are you have to say, I am Nishipriya, I am Prayashi, and so on. And this sense of identification with the name that has been given to us, a name which can get changed, by signing two or three document papers, right? We get so attached with this, so identified with it, that we forget that we are just pure life, right? And we start to look at ourselves as some sort of construct, as some sort of character in the movie, right? And we continue to define it more and more and more. And that entire race of, defining myself, establishing myself, getting designations and so on, it just continues. And the race is just, the pace of that race is so fast that we actually forget who we really are. So when it comes to creating the awareness, it is really important to understand the fundamentals of who we really are. There is not just one word. We define our species as. We don't define our species as humans. We define it as human beings. Right. The second word, being, has a very deep meaning to it, right? Being is someone who is continuing to exist in the present, who is continuing to live in the moment, right? And that's the union, that's the yoga, right? So, inculcating all this, comprising all this understanding when we reach out to kids, to the students at school level, to the students at graduation level, and to the parents. So when it comes to the field of psychology, it's not just one age group which are important to focus upon. It's the all sorts of age groups are as important to focus upon and to create changes, and to deliver that awareness, right? Because why, if the parents of today get to understand this, that how important mental health is and what we are actually providing to our children, right? By training them to be someone, right? And to just run in a race, right? It is very important. If the parents understand this, then the coming up generation will start to have a shift in their own. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Very beautifully said.
Thank you.
I am really so overwhelmed by the feeling of being that I can really feel goosebumps. So thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable input. So uh, we see a lot of problems arising in individuals because of toxic parenting. So Dr. Upasna, can you teach us some tips to help children cope up with toxic parenting and how do they overcome with this negative self-talk?
Okay, wonderful. Now, toxic parenting, if I talk about, is a very heavy term. Yeah. I think any of the parents listening to this will kind of feel bad that, oh, either would say that toxic parenting, we are the best
Exactly.
parents, right? How on every Mother's Day, Father's Day, happy birthdays of parents, we flood the Facebook and the Instagram with, our father is the best, our mother is the best, our parents are the best. And how in a country like India, we can even call our parents toxic when we say they are God and they're like representative of God for us. So when we talk about toxic parenting, that's a very, very heavy term. So before I even talk about it, I'd say that being a parent myself, I would say that all of us, all parents, are striving and trying their best to do the best for their kids that they can do. And unfortunately, I think Aditya mentioned it really beautifully, and so did Priyashi also, that how in our education system also, there is no such guidelines about it, about a lot of things. There's no teaching about mental health or our emotions or our feelings. We're only learning since day one. We are learning ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is how we've all lived our lives. If I'll talk about myself, I've lived my entire life. Nobody teaches me how to be a parent. The only person who taught me how to be parent was probably my own parents, right? And all of us, while we grow up, or while you're still growing up and you're not yet parents, every interaction we have with our parents, in that interaction, make a decision. This is something I'm going to do with my kids, or this is something I'm going to take up, or that is something that I'm never going to do, right? So that is a reference that you have. Your own parents is a reference that you have. And a lot of times, what also happens is, in my practice also, when I speak to clients, I talk about, and you want to intervene and understand how their childhood would have been like. The first thing a lot of people say is, oh, my childhood, awesome. My parents, extremely supportive. They've been great. Not that they've never been great. Not that they are not great. Not that those parents and the supportive environment they're coming from wasn't great. But what happens is there are a lot of times there is also the denial of the problem that something in our parenting or how we are as parents could be damaging to the kids. Yeah. So as parents, I think all the parents, all of us as Indian parents, हम लोगों का एक ही I think objective होता है that the day we become parents, or for a lot of women, the day they conceive, it's like now my life is all about my child, right? And we're all revolving around it as parents also. So, zero guideline, you don't know what to do, what not to do, so you don't even understand what you're doing is probably causing a problem and is emotionally damaging the parents. So, what is toxic parenting is when there has been an emotional damage. So, it doesn't necessarily clearly needs to be that you understand that you're coming from only a dysfunctional family wherein things have been extremely difficult for you all. Your parents have been fighting, or you had a abusive parent. There was domestic violence in home. There was an alcoholic parent. There were financial crisis. That is not the only thing that will probably cause emotional damage to a child through parenting that we can probably term or not term as toxic parenting. But a lot of little things could also lead to a lot of emotional damage, like constant comparison that happens between two siblings that a parent would do. Wouldn't want to do it intentionally. Like I would also say, I have a newborn, and I, knowing how comparison could lead to and would lead to, as my own curiosity, I would be like, how my daughter is very different from my son. But that difference and that identification of that how both your kids are going to be two very separate individuals, But at a time of a stress, at a time of when you're dealing with something, there will be a very constant and very quick comparison to, oh, this one is acting differently. So we forget the difference, that there is this difference, and we don't acknowledge that, but we start comparing. So those comparisons have also created a lot of emotional damage. You know how one of the child, and I think both the siblings, because there has been a comparison always, both the siblings feel that, oh, my parent love the other one more than me. Both of them. If you talk to both of them, na, the elder one will say, you छोटे वाले को प्यार करते, छोटा वाला कहेगा बड़ा वाला ज़्यादा special है. So that's a constant thing. So all I'm saying is that even if we feel, even if there are people out there who feel that we've been, we've been raised by toxic parents, I just want them to know that, parents while growing up, if we all are, let's say, whatever age we are, our parents probably became parents at an age where we were still functioning, still figuring out our job, still being in college and studying, and my parents became parents by them. Like a lot of us had parents who were like 23-year-old when they had us. So the idea is that first understand as adults that back then they were also not, godlike figures. They were not that. They also didn't know what they were doing with this little baby in their hands. They had no idea whatsoever. So understand that you're as an adult today, that your parent was just another adult trying to figure out a lot of things. They would have been in their 20s only for most of us. So they also didn't know what they were doing in their life, and they were probably handled with a lot of responsibilities well in time. So that recognition of the fact that your parents and are just adults and are not supposed to be perfect, and they're not supposed to be those perfect role models because they would not know enough. You were their first times, or you were just the second time only, and each one of you was different. So the first acceptance of that is, I'm sure, going to be extremely helpful to that. That knowing that they were just parents, knowing that they also come with their own baggage, their own history, their own parenthood. उनको भी जो दिखा उन्होंने वो करा. उनको दिखा कि रोज डंडे से मार पड़ती थी या रोज मम्मी पापा चीखते थे, और उनके डर से हम अच्छे बन गए लाइफ में. So we will do the same thing to our kids because discipline is going to help them like that. And probably punishing them a certain way is going to help them like that. So if that is what they've been doing it. So forgive them. सबसे पहले forgive them for being the human that they were being, and not being the godlike representation that we made of them. Why? Where is this coming from? As a small, young 3, 4, 5 year old, obviously your parents are going to be there for you only, and you'll see them only as that person. But while you've now grown up, we can now at least stop. As a 5 year old, 3 year old, they were the only providers for you, but as an adult, you can provide for yourself. So stop doing that. Stop looking at them as they have to be perfect. Why can't they be perfect? Why do they have this vice in them? So सबसे पहले I think that's the only thing that we can keep reminding ourselves of. When we keep saying ना ऐसे क्यों है वैसे क्यों है, उधर तो जाने देते हैं. This, my friends' parents will allow everything. They're so cool. They're so free. Why are my parents like that? Just let them be for who they are, like the way you want them to let you be the way you are, and not compare them with the neighbor's son, right? So you also start doing that with your parents. Another very important thing that Nisha you asked me about was, so I'm just going to stop there. I think giving a lot of information about it is also not going to help if we are only able to do this much one thing, that we recognize that a lot of our things, a lot of our anger, a lot of our frustration, a lot of our beliefs are carrying forward from our parents. The ability to acknowledge that, the ability to just accept that they were just being adults, and they also messed up at things where they wanted to or they did not want it to, intentionally, unintentionally. If the only thing we can do is forgive them, I think that's the first step to moving forward to it, right? And I'll just leave you all with that. The next thing that you asked me was the self-talk that you said, and how can we overcome the self-talk that you talked about, right? Aditya again mentioned it very nicely. This little voice in our head that we all have all the time, 24 hours चलता रहता है पीछे radio की तरह, evaluative, describing, observing, right? So if we all give ourselves a few minutes to see what this little voice is talking about, just recognizing for a few seconds. Nishi, can you do that? Can you think about your little voice, what she's talking to you, what she's
Yes,
saying to
mom.
you? Yeah, I think Nishi is like, ये time से खत्म होगा कि नहीं होगा? What is it that I'm
No,
going to do?
mom.
I'm
No,
doing it
mom.
in this
Right
one.
now,
No,
I'm
no,
very
not
much
right now.
nervous.
Yeah.
No,
So
right now, I'm very
that
much nervous.
nervous. Hmm.
Yeah, about how the
So
whole thing is gonna go.
yeah. And this little voice is talking to you, maybe in first person, maybe in third person, any which way. Yeah. So she's saying something to you. She's like, oh, now she's going to ask me, I have to unmute myself. Will I get unmuted or not? So this constant thing that keeps going on in us. At times, this constant thing is going to be just like your parent. that inner voice is going to be that critical one, and is also kind of chastising you also, just like your parent would do to you. And they would all do it just like that. Fine, being parents will do it. So at times your inner voice is going to be that critical parent or that critical friend that you have. At times you have your own self belief, like Aditya was saying, just figure out na kaisi hai. Is it very harsh? Is it sweet? Is it always judgmental? Is it very sarcastic in its nature? Kya hai wo? So identifying of that self talk and seeing again and again कि ये कहाँ से आ रही है, ये जो evaluative judgmental self talk है वो कहाँ से आ रही है. Once you recognize it, I think again another wonderful idea to probably recognize your self talk is वही 15 मिनट अगर निकाल ही रहे हैं दिन में हम अगर mental health
Ma'am,
investment.
I'm sorry to disturb you, but this is
You
like
want,
our
okay.
college is located in Chennai, and then a lot of people don't
All
understand
right.
Hindi.
I get that. Oh, I get that. So the only idea is that every time we are talking about it, every time we are recognizing a self-talk, the best idea is going to be that those 15 minutes that we're taking out for mental health and our own commitment towards it is that let's just figure out now what is it that we're talking about, observing these thoughts, observing this negative self-talk, or observing this inner voice, this little chatter in your head all the time. What does it keep saying? Every time you're watching a movie, also it keeps saying, "Oh, wow, what move? Wish I could dance like that." So just observe that. And if I say that, start writing, just start writing about it. Within a week, you'll get to know what your negative self talk is like. It will give the descriptions, that adjectives that Aditya was also mentioning about. Once that's done, let's not turn it into a positive self talk. Let's not do that. Let's see that the language that our negative self talk has, it will, most of the times, why it causes a lot of problem is most of the times, this self talk talks in a language which goes in absolute. I can never do it well. I will always get, uh, you know, into a mess. And I should do something like this or something like that. I should be nice to everybody. So this absolutes is something that causes a lot of problem with us and also has a damaging effect. So a lot of people who come with depression or anxiety for treatment, we see a lot of problem in this self-talk only because it's become too critical, too negative, and it's absolutely either in negative, in absolute, or is always catastrophizing. So the moment we are able to probably take care of that and just turn it into a more rational thing. So rather than saying, oh, I always mess up, saying that this time be more realistic. This time it didn't go as I planned. I will look into it, what happened, and then work upon making it better versus dwelling in the fact that I always mess up. And then we are in a bad mood all the time. The entire day we are, sad about the fact we had a presentation and I fumbled. So versus doing that, just see that why that happened. Why was I being nervous? And how can I fix that? I think that could be one of the ways that we can help and alter our negative self-talk into a more neutral one rather than making it always very, very positive, which also becomes a little unrealistic. At times you try to do that, you can't really relate to it. एकदम से एक extreme से दूसरे extreme, we don't have to go from one extreme to the other one. Life can move in a gray area also. Nishi, are you with us?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. My mom was listening to it and she was like, how lucky you are to not have any siblings, so there is no comparison. Please remind me.
Oh, so Nishi, for that, I will tell you something. I am also a single child. So there was no comparison. Yet, as a single child, you would say, good that you picked it up, right? As a single
Yes,
child also comes with a lot of overprotectiveness. All her eyes would always be on
exactly.
you. Yeah. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
so Nishi, I get it. Being a single child is probably more responsibility. Then all her, at least you have a sibling for 10 minutes, the sibling is making a mess, the mother is looking at somebody else. No, her entire life is only about you. So that gets all the more tough. That gets all the more, you are all the more, I
Yes,
think.
ma'am.
So I don't want to disappoint your mom, but this is what it is that she will have everything that she would want, need, and needs to give would be only to you. Yeah. And that will also come with maybe your, you'll also feel a little pressured at times, which is the pressure your mother doesn't want to give you. But we take it up and we want to do a lot of things, show a lot of things, prove a lot of things inside of that pressure that we perceive it as. Yeah. So that is what.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. It really was very, very valuable. And but Shabnam, as I scroll your Instagram feed, I find lot of quotes on positive self-talk and positive mental health. So can you teach us few ways by which we can also induce positivity in our life?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. So, from a perspective of someone who has been in distress for a very long time, I have been into anxiety and I have been still dealing with anxiety issues. So, what works for me, that what I teaches or what I post in my stories on Instagram. So by what do I mean by positive attitude or positive mental health is being aware of myself, the way I talk to myself, the way I see myself, right? So what worked for me is maintaining a healthy routine, sleeping on time, wake up on time, having a good amount of exercise. We all know that we all have these happy hormones called endorphins, right? So when we do exercise or when we go out, when we feel happy, these hormones releases in our blood, right? So one thing is healthy routine, maintaining healthy routine, right? Secondly is when we are in distress or when we are anxious or having sad feeling of sadness, we don't we are unable to identify the negative thoughts, right? कि कौन से negative thoughts आ रहे हैं, and we just go by them, right? So by getting self aware and by being aware of our thoughts, that yes, and accepting them, right, and accepting them that yes, this is what I'm feeling, this is right or this is wrong, it is helping me or is this not helping me, right? When we are anxious, we feel this scared feeling, right? When we are anxious, we know there is some danger, but actually there is not. So this is our mind telling us, this is our thoughts telling us that there is something, but there is not. Actually, there is not anything wrong is going to happen. So we need to understand and identify the thoughts that are coming, and these are negative or positive, right? So mainly negative thoughts makes us in distress. So writing down the points or the thoughts that are distressing us, that are hampering our mental health. So writing them in a journal or anything. So as Dr. Upasana has said कि many of our clients said that अगर मैं ये डायरी में नोट करूंगी तो might be my mom see it or someone sees it. So there is a tip to that कि write down your thoughts on a paper and tear it out, so that you have went out your feelings and nobody can ever like go through that, but you have put out your feelings out and you're feeling a bit relaxed about it, right? By practicing gratitude, I always stress about by being practicing gratitude because it has worked for me a lot, and I think it will work for anyone, right? Telling yourself that the five things you are happy about or you're lucky about, be it your food, your dress, your house, or the way you look or not, so being practicing gratitude is a one way to help you lead a healthy positive life. Secondly, expressing your views, expressing your emotions to anybody you have. If you don't have anybody, you feel that you don't have anybody, seek professional help. We are out here to help you. So you don't have to hesitate for it, because we are here and we are doing this job and we're really happy about it, right? Lastly, being social. What happened when we are in distress, that we just we isolate ourselves, right? We isolate ourselves and we think that nobody will understand what I am feeling, right? So by being getting social with anyone, with your friends, your mother, your father, be it your family member, your teacher, it could be anyone. So by being social, you can also achieve a mental health, positive healthy life, right?
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really beautiful. So, Aditya, coming from a multi-professional background, you have an experience with working with a lot of professionals. So, tell me, what are the biggest challenge a professional face these days? Any profession.
Okay. So, first of all, I would really like to thank all our viewers and all our panelists for sharing such wonderful tips and tricks. So, I want to ask you, there are these five kind of people. Okay. Pick up a pen and write down, do you have these five kind of people around you? Okay. Are you ready? The first are advocate. And I would be defining what I mean by advocate. Okay. The first category is advocate. The second are cheerleaders. The third are connectors. I'll again repeat advocate, cheerleaders, connectors. The fourth are sponsors. And the fifth are guardian angel or godparents. Okay, now coming over to each one of them. Advocate are the people who support your cause, who promote your cause. Okay, if you say I want to do this, these are the people who see the best in you and who would do everything to support you. Okay. Second, we have got cheerleaders. Cheerleaders are those people, they can be our friends or anyone, our relatives also, who always cheer for even the smallest of things. These are the people who really admire and appreciate what all have we done. The third are connectors. Connectors are the people, suppose you want something, but you do not know how to get that. Connectors are the people who can help you achieve that state of mind, to connect to that person, whatever it is. The next are the sponsors. Sponsors are the people who would sponsor you, not only financially, but emotionally also. And the last are guardian angel or godparents. Guardian angel or godparents are the one who are always watching over us, who are always having our back, who are like, do your work, we are out here. Just like as student, we have got our HODs who are like, we are watching you, don't worry, whenever you want any support, we'll always be here. I want to ask you, the people who are watching this, how many advocates do you have in your life? How many people truly resonate with your passion, truly support your cause? Now, talking about advocate can be counselors. At times, we are not comfortable speaking what's on our mind. We want people who can support us to think out loud, who can be our sounding board and our scratching post, who can help us to have that confidence. Cheerleader, who are the people who would always encourage us, who would always be like, wow, you can do better, try it once more. Who are the people around you who are your cheerleaders? Then connectors are the people, suppose you want something, they'll tell you, let me connect you, let me support you. Sponsors are the people who would be like, don't worry, we'll make sure this gets done. And guardian angel, godparents are the one, whenever you want, you can connect with them or they are watching over you. Now, why did I ask this? One of the biggest challenge which is there when it comes to mental health is people do not know who to approach to. It is like when you are sick, someone says take medicine. But the person who is saying take medicine, are you aware about his or her credibility? Biggest challenge is we tend to avoid seeking support because we ourselves are unsure. On your mobile phone, who are the people who are on your speed dial? Are the people you are reaching out to ignoring your messages? Or are the people avoiding your calls? Or are these people who only come to you when they need your support? Not the other way around. Have people or a group of network of people. Invest in yourself. Most of our viewers out here are young. I would also like to acknowledge Arif Khan, who is one of the viewers from our YouTube, who just commented that we have some parents who might not be proficient in English. So, do we have people in our network who are a crusader of a cause? All of you are change makers, are leaders. Do you have the courage, the conviction to speak up your mind? One of the biggest challenges that we hesitate. We tend to seek permission from the people before doing anything. My challenge to you is for the next 24 hours, be vulnerable, be approachable, ask for help. If a person says no, what does no mean to you? Not now or next opportunity. Seek the next person opinion. With that, I'll encourage each and everyone, be vulnerable, be open to sharing. Don't be afraid of making mistakes because it's our mindset And I emphasize on the mindset because what is mindset? Our self talk. People are like, if I go to a mental health counselor or a professional, people will say, oh, you are mad, MAD. This stigma of being vulnerable, of asking for help, is something that is really stopping us. I see a lot of parents, they are like this: we want our kid to invest X amount in a coaching center. And when I ask them, does your kid have a mentor or a counselor? They are like, no, they don't need it. They are ready to invest in those coaching hours, in those tangible things, but not in the emotional wellness or in the emotional hygiene kit. Who are the people you are approaching to? Because end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. You just cannot be afraid of other people's approval or opinion. There would be people who will troll you. Thank them, because the people who are giving you attention, positive, negative, are the one who are indirectly taking care of you. Our parents are themselves unaware what best they can do. We all are educated, and as educated participant, it is our responsibility to use Google, to use YouTube, and to find the right professional. For example, Nishi. How did Nishi connect with me? I remember a few weeks back, I had done a seminar, webinar, sorry, just
Nishi,
like
Nishi.
this, Nishi, where she was one of the participants. Then she followed me and then she approached me. Today, connecting with any expert, any professional is easier than before. The question is, are you ready to bet on yourself? Are you ready to be vulnerable and ask for support? So that's what I'll be leaving everyone with this thought. Thank you, Nishi.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Thank you, all the panelists. It was really, really valuable. It was very insightful. And we are very excited to announce that our department has released a newsletter on occasion of mental health. And we love to present this to all our panelists, so kindly accept it.
Thank you.
I'm really sorry. I guess there is some technical error. Give us 2 minutes. I'm really sorry, panelists, because of some technical error, our team is not able to present it. We'll be personally mailing all of you the newsletter. So I would now take this opportunity to propose the formal vote of thanks. I would like to thank our college principal, Mrs. Devi, for providing me such opportunity to conduct this panel discussion. I would love to thank our college HOD, Ms. Alima Zahra, who is a constant support in all my endeavors. I would extend my gratitude to all the panel members for accepting my invite on such a short notice and giving such valuable insights. Thank you, all of you. I would now like to thank our technical and support team who helped us conduct this event. I extend my gratitude to our department secretary Ramya for being a helping hand from start. Last but not least, I now thank all our enthusiastic audience who have been patiently watching this whole discussion. Thank you, all of you. Thank you all. It was such a lovely and wonderful session.
Thank you, Nishi. Thank you for having us here. You've been
Thank
very,
you,
very
ma'am.
enthusiastic, and your cheerful vibe is something that got on to us that we really could not say no to you.
Thank you
So
so
thank
much,
you, and
ma'am.
thank you to your HOD and your principal for having us here.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. It was a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
Thank you
Happy
so
mental
much.
health.
Happy mental health day.